Why do you feel more anxious the closer you get to the future? You can't touch it, you can't see it, but you feel it tightening in your chest when you open your eyes each morning. It's there when your phone lights up before you even stand up. It's baked into your to-do list, buried in your calendar, pulsing behind every conversation you pretend to be present for. And the worst part, you can't stop checking, can't stop planning, can't stop scrolling. It's like your nervous system has been hijacked by a version of you that only knows how to survive by staying ahead, but never actually arrives. You tell yourself it's just stress, just busyness, but deep down, you know, this isn't just about tasks, it's about time, about your relationship with tomorrow. You don't trust it because you don't trust yourself in it. Let's be honest, you're exhausted, not just from what you do, but from what you think you need to do. From being emotionally available to everyone but yourself, from being on all day, then wondering why you can't sleep at night. You're not tired because you're lazy. You're tired because your attention is leaking everywhere. You've made yourself available. And now you feel invisible. You've confused responsiveness with responsibility. You've confused attention with love. You've confused performance with presence. You wake up and check your phone before you check in with yourself. You see other people's lives before you remember. You have one. You're flooded with updates, invites, requests, and you still say yes, even when everything inside you whispers, no. Why? Because you've been trained to react faster than you reflect. Because stillness feels like danger. Because silence feels like rejection. And because you built your self-worth on how quickly you can deliver. But what if I told you that urgency is lying to you? That your anxiety isn't proof that you're behind. It's proof that you're too far from yourself. Carl Jung called it psychic energy, the fuel of your inner life. And right now, your psychic energy is being burned on things that don't feed you, that don't know you, that don't care if you ever come home to yourself. Every time you over-explain your no, every time you answer a message you didn't have space for, every time you stay up to keep the peace or keep the performance going, you're draining that energy. And the cost isn't just burnout. The cost is identity fatigue. You start to lose the line between who you are and who you're pretending to be. You start performing a version of okay that doesn't even belong to you. And then you wonder why the future makes you anxious. It's not because you don't have a plan. It's because you're living a life you can't feel. And you're afraid tomorrow will just be more of the same. Here's the hard truth. You're projecting your internal chaos onto external time. You think the future is the problem, but the real problem is the way you relate to it. You're trying to outrun discomfort instead of understanding it. You're mistaking movement for momentum, and you're filling every gap with noise, hoping it will keep the fear at bay. But the fear isn't out there. It's in here. It's in the silence between your decisions. In the moments when the screen goes dark. In the questions you avoid by staying busy. Who are you when you're not replying? Who are you when you stop performing? Who are you when you stop reacting? You see, Jung understood something that our culture keeps trying to forget. That all real change starts from within. That your psyche isn't just reacting to the world. It's creating it. And right now, your internal system is overloaded with other people's voices, expectations and timelines. No wonder the future feels like pressure. You're not building your path. You're inheriting everyone else's. And here's what makes it worse. Technology amplifies this imbalance. Your phone doesn't just connect you. It fragments you. Every ping, every notification, every scroll invites a part of you to leave your body and enter someone else's world. You become split, scattered, thin, and yet you keep checking because you've attached your worth to being needed, to being liked, to being seen. But let me ask you something. When was the last time you saw yourself? Not your reflection, not your profile. You, the you who's tired of the show, the you who misses your own mind, the you who knows there's more to life than being productive and pleasant. Stop explaining. Start listening. There's a voice inside you that's quieter than the noise. It's not trying to keep up. It's trying to come home. But you have to make space for it. You have to remember, you don't owe your energy to everyone. You don't have to be available just because someone asks. You don't have to keep up. With what? A timeline you didn't create. A pace that's killing your presence. No. You cut the pattern. You draw the line. Because the future isn't something you meet by sprinting toward it. It's something you shape by being rooted where you stand. And you can't shape anything if you've abandoned yourself in the process. So here's your mirror. If the future makes you anxious, maybe it's because you haven't made peace with now. This moment. This breath. This decision. Take it back. This is where the change begins. You've been living in a reaction loop. Jung called this projection. When you cast parts of your own inner world onto something outside of you. And right now, your projections are all over your tech, your time, and your future. You're not just reacting to what's on your screen. You're reacting to what it represents. Validation, relevance, belonging, safety, a promise that if you just stay connected, you'll stay in control. But control is not clarity. Reactivity is not responsiveness. And living in a state of constant anticipation is not the same as living with intention. What happens when your digital life becomes your primary persona? You start curating. Instead of connecting, you start performing. Instead of participating, you show the world a mask, hoping someone will love you enough to make you believe it's real. This is the modern persona, the carefully managed self, the filtered self, the safe self. Jung warned us about this. When the persona becomes too dominant, the shadow swells. The shadow isn't evil. It's the parts of you that you've disowned, the feelings you've buried, the fears you've hidden, the truths you've labeled. Too much, too weird, too broken. And the more you over-identify with your persona, the more terrified you become of your shadow. Because you know, deep down, that if the mask slips, you might feel something you don't know how to handle. Grief, rage, loneliness, stillness, the ache of not being who you pretend to be. That's the fear beneath your anxiety. It's not just about the future. It's about what the future might reveal about you. You're not afraid of what will happen. You're afraid of what you'll feel if it does. And here's the truth. You can't think your way out of that. You have to feel your way through it. Not by spiraling into overwhelm, but by reclaiming your psychic energy and bringing it home. Individuation, Jung's word for psychological wholeness, isn't about becoming someone new. It's about becoming who you really are. Underneath the noise, it's the process of reclaiming the disowned parts of you, integrating your shadow, and stepping into your full humanity. But that takes space. It takes pause. It takes the courage to stop filling the void. And most people never do it because they're addicted to their persona, addicted to being perceived, praised, needed. But here's your breakthrough. That version of you is not sustainable. It's not even alive. It's an avatar, a placeholder, a projection. And you deserve to be more than that. You don't need to delete your account. You don't need to disappear. You just need to stop outsourcing your worth. You need to stop believing that your pace is a problem, that your silence is dangerous, that your boundaries make you unkind. They don't. They make you sane. They make you sovereign. Because the more you try to please, the more you abandon yourself, the more you try to predict, the more you disconnect, and the more you perform, the more you forget what it feels like to just be. This is psychic inflation, when you pour all your energy into the outer world, your image, your persona, your performance, and leave your inner world malnourished. You scroll, but you don't feel. You plan, but you don't trust. You speak, but your voice doesn't sound like your own. And so you feel hollow, like a shell of yourself, like a character you can't quite relate to anymore. That's not weakness. That's a sign that your psyche is starving for integration, that you've built your life around adaptation, but not authenticity, that you've mastered visibility, but forgotten how to see yourself. And now, the future feels threatening, because if you keep going like this, what exactly are you becoming? Here's where it shifts. You remember that anxiety is not an enemy. It's a signal. It tells you where your attention is bleeding. It tells you where you're pretending. It tells you what needs to be reclaimed. So start here. Pull your energy back. Not out of fear, but out of reverence. Say no without a story. Put your phone down without guilt. Take a full breath, without checking who's waiting. You're not here to keep up. You're here to wake up. And the moment you do, the moment you choose presence over performance, self over speed, clarity over chaos, everything begins to reorganize. Because the future is not some monster waiting to devour you. It's a mirror, reflecting what you're avoiding. Face it. Face you. And when you do, say this: I don't owe my energy to the algorithm. I return it to myself. I'm not a performance. I'm a person. I don't fear the future. I trust my presence. Because the point isn't to control what's coming. The point is to meet it. Whole, honest, awake. And you can't do that if you're still running. So stop running. Stand still. And let what's real catch up. The problem isn't that you're moving too slow. The problem is that you've never been taught how to move on purpose. Everywhere you look, the world tells you to speed up, move fast, be first, respond immediately, hustle harder. If you're not ahead, you're behind. If you're not visible, you're irrelevant. If you're not updating, you're forgotten. That's not progress. That's panic, disguised as productivity. You've been tricked into believing that constant motion equals meaning, that presence is earned through performance, that your worth is something to be proved, not protected. But let me ask you this: who benefits when you burn out? Who gains when you dilute your voice, divide your energy, and confuse urgency with importance? Not you. Your anxiety isn't the problem. It's the evidence. It's the proof that your psychic system is overloaded. Your boundaries have been breached, and your center, yourself, has gone quiet beneath the noise. It's time to break the trance. You are not a slave to your notifications. You are not defined by your digital trail. You are not here to react. You are here to choose. This is where Jung's idea of the self becomes more than theory. It becomes your lifeline. The self isn't a better version of you. It's the whole of you, integrated, awake, untangled from masks, projections, and borrowed timelines. But to live from that place, you need psychic sovereignty. You need a line between your inner world and the world that demands a piece of you every second. Because without that line, you lose your signal, you lose your truth, and the future becomes a threat instead of an invitation. Let's make this real. You know the feeling. You're mid-conversation, but your mind is already elsewhere. You're halfway through a meal, but you barely tasted it. You say yes out of guilt. You apologize for needing rest. You try to be chill when you're actually overwhelmed. You perform calm while your stomach knots inside. That's not strength. That's trauma. in autopilot mode. So what's the shift? The shift is reclaiming your pace. The shift is seeing silence, not as rejection, but as regeneration. The shift is learning to pause before you post, to breathe before you reply, to feel before you fix. This is how you begin the process of individuation, not in some mystical way, but in the raw, real moments of your day. When you say no without explanation, when you protect your time like it's sacred, when you disappoint others rather than abandon yourself. That's how you reclaim yourself. No, it won't feel natural at first, because the old pattern has been rehearsed for years. People pleasing, over-explaining, staying small to avoid conflict, filling every gap with more. But if you don't interrupt that cycle, it will keep robbing you of your peace, your presence, your potential. So here's your challenge. Slow down, not to rest, but to remember. Pull your energy back from the places it's been bleeding. The inboxes, the apps, the overthinking, the constant role play. Because every time you choose speed over stillness, you lose the ability to listen. Not just to others, but to yourself. And what you can't hear, you can't heal. And what you can't face, you'll keep projecting onto the future. You'll call it anxiety, but it's really avoidance. Avoidance of the grief you haven't named, the anger you keep swallowing, the dreams you've postponed for someday. But here's the truth. Someday isn't coming. There's only ever this moment, this breath, this choice. So choose it. Choose now. Choose the kind of presence that makes your future feel less like a deadline and more like a doorway. Say it with me. I'm not reacting. I'm choosing. My energy is mine to direct. I protect my peace like it's sacred. This is not weakness. This is warriorship, the kind that doesn't scream for attention. It stands in self-possession. You want less anxiety. Don't just breathe deeper. Live deeper. Make fewer but truer moves. Trade being impressive for being real. Release the need to be understood. And choose to understand yourself. Because when you finally stop sprinting toward the future, you meet yourself. And that self is not afraid. That self is not scattered. That self is sovereign. And this is where it all comes together. You've looked outside yourself long enough. You've tracked trends, chased expectations, interpreted silence as failure, and let the future loom like some invisible storm you have to outthink. But the real storm, it's inside. And the only way through it is not to run, but to remember. Remember your line, that invisible, immovable line between what is you and what is not. Carl Jung said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." But you can't become anything when you're constantly performing, pleasing, or proving. You're not here to adapt to a broken rhythm. You're here to create a new one. One that serves you, one that supports you, one that reflects the truth of you, not just the survival strategy. And that begins with boundaries, not the walls you build out of fear, but the lines you draw out of clarity. You don't need to be harder. You need to be clearer. Clearer about what you value. Clearer about who you let in. Clearer about what gets your time, your thoughts, your emotional bandwidth. Let me make this plain. Every time you say yes when you mean no, you abandon yourself. Every time you respond when you should rest, you violate your own peace. Every time you let the world shape you before you even hear your own voice, you step further away from the self. And then you wonder why you're anxious. It's not a mystery. Anxiety is what you feel when you're split between your truth and your behavior. So unify. Unify by slowing down, not to fall behind, but to realign. Unify by choosing discomfort over dishonesty. Unify by removing the mask. letting the shadow speak, and telling yourself the real truth. I don't want to live like this anymore. You don't have to. Right now in this moment. You can start again. Start small. Choose one boundary, one no, one quiet act of alignment that says I'm no longer diluting who I am to be digestible, because you were never meant to be consumed. You were meant to create peace, to create presence, to create a path that honors your wholeness, not just your highlights. The future isn't asking you to predict it. It's asking you to participate in it. Fully, deeply, honestly. But that requires you to come home, not to your house, not to your job, to yourself, the one beneath the filters, beneath the persona, the one you forgot about while trying to be everything to everyone. Stop. Come back. This is your reset. This is your moment to decide, not tomorrow, not after one more scroll. Now, decide that your attention is a sacred currency. Decide that your presence is not negotiable. Decide that you don't owe access to anyone who drains your center, because this is your life, and it's waiting for you. Not the version of you the world likes, the real one, the raw one, the rooted one, the one who doesn't fear the future, because they've finally anchored in the present. Say it one more time. I don't owe my energy to everyone. I'm not reacting. I'm choosing. I protect my peace, like it's sacred. Now breathe, stand tall, and walk forward. Not to chase the future, but to meet it. You're not lost. You're not late. You're just remembering who leads here, and it's you.